This is Breakfast Central on a Thursday, your number one stop for everything you need in the morning. The best of discussions, news, and insights and analysis on the biggest trending stories in the country. I am Benga Abroa.
And I am Olive Emodi. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Central. Thank you for starting your morning with us. We are counting down the hours to the end of the week. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like River State is counting down to peace. It just feels like every morning
there's a new twist and turn.
A new twist, a new turn. For every brass, there's an equal booth. Yesterday, Governor Siminalayi Fubara was pictured outside the Assembly residence, and of course, he went to re-present the budget in compliance with the Supreme Court's judgment, and unfortunately, he wasn't granted access. The back and forth has been a lot. Oh, we sent letter, we didn't see the letter. Oh, you didn't send any letter. There have been, pros and cons to the arguments for and against why he was denied access. On the one hand, they say, he should have notified them. He says he did notify them. They say they didn't receive notification. So it just really is a reflection of the fact that drama is not yet coming to an end anytime soon in Rivers State.
Still talking about Rivers State, I mean, someone who likes to have his opinion known on affairs in Rivers State actually made comments on the situation in Rivers State. Of
course, I'm sure we'll take that, shortly. But just to still talk about the denial of Siminalayi Fubara to the assembly complex. If you recall, last year we talked about the demolition of the assembly complex. Governor Siminalayi Fubara, said that it was demolished because of the advice from the professionals as to the integrity of the building having been compromised after the explosion that occurred within the assembly complex. So yesterday what we started to see was there was a side-by-side of when he, quote-unquote, forcefully entered into the assembly complex a while back and now going in and trying to gain access in a manner that seemed somewhat, will I say defeated? I think I'd use that word loosely. Benga, it feels to me like Governor Siminalayi Fubara has been boxed in a corner.
Yeah, it's been boxed in a corner, yes. But I mean, the overall interest of the people should prevail. The Supreme Court made a judgment, and he's trying his best now to obey the judgment. But the other party is not playing ball. He got to the desk of Mr. President. Mr. President said, you know what, go back home and act on the Supreme Court's judgment.
But he's trying to
do that, and the other parties are not. They're making life very difficult for him. It's almost like a cat and mouse game. Oh, I sent this letter. Oh, you should have waited for us to reply and all of that. It's really not necessary. At the end of the day, it's the ordinary people of Rivers State that will suffer from all of this.
You mentioned the president's involvement. In fact, the president's involvement has been criticized. The first time the president stepped into the arena, he profiled the 8-point solution with the peace accord between the former governor and the current governor of Rivers State, that's the FCT minister, and that 8-point agenda, it was not, it wasn't adhered to, it didn't seem to work. And in the past few months where the crisis in Rivers State and the political crisis in Rivers State has been at an all-time high, the president he didn't really speak about it. So now that the Supreme Court has given a judgment, he's also been criticized again. People are saying for the president to say that the Supreme Court has given a judgment and that the governor should adhere to that. Is he supposed to be speaking just to the governor? That the governor never said he wasn't exactly. The governor never said he wouldn't comply to the instructions of the Supreme Court, and that why is he taking sides? That by saying that he automatically is taking sides with the FCT minister, who many times has come under fire, and the president didn't say anything about the FCT minister's involvement. And many people wondered, is the FCT minister still a member of the PDP, or is he a member of the APC? Because it does seem like he now seems to be a double agent.
And saying yesterday, Governor Fubara said, he will attempt to represent the budget to the State House of Assembly. So that's a positive move, in spite of what many people have called the embarrassment of having a governor locked out. That, he's still giving peace a chance.
Wow, really, really, really sad. Much later today, when we look at what Nigerians are saying, I'll be taking the tweets regarding that updated story. But yes, Benga, you were speaking to someone giving a press conference yesterday in Abuja.
Yes, still on our wake-up conversations. I think the most I wouldn't say media friendly, it's just likes to speak.
Yeah.
He likes to speak to the press and express his view. I'm not necessarily sure if he's media friendly, but he loves the sight of cameras and he's not one to shy from opinion. So let's listen to what happened yesterday at the media parley.
Yeah. So this is before we got to Nyesom Wike. Let's first of all listen to yesterday what happened at the assembly complex, and then we'll share with you what Nyesom Wike did with the press conference.
There are no security men. Nobody left.
Touching microphone.
Gentlemen on the press, stop. I'm here myself this morning. Members of few members of the council to comply with the Supreme Court judgment. Before my arrival, there's several attempts by phone call to reach the speaker and other members. I also did a letter personally which was transmitted to the Honorable Speaker for this particular application. But it's unfortunate that at the gates, you can see that the place is completely sealed and there's no sign that anything is going to happen today. The reason why we're doing this, I've always said it, in the interest of our people, which is the most important thing. Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Maybe they're working on their letter. I expect to hear from them.
And there you have it, Governor Siminalayi Fubara giving an address right after not being able to access the assembly complex. He really has had a time full of a lot of difficulty. Yesterday, I did see when he was presented an artwork. It was an artwork made with nails and threads. The artwork, the artist said it took her, I think, 90 days to make the artwork. And she said to him that the nails on the artwork represent the challenges that he had to face since he became governor, and that the threads holding the nails together represented, you know, the unbeatable spirit of the Rivers people.
And talking about challenges, he has really faced lots of challenges. But it would be nice to also hear from the other side, the Martyrs, Amerule camp and the 27 lawmakers, as to what happened yesterday. Why did they deny the governor entry? Were they like fumigating the complex?
In the words of Nyesom Wike, you know, it's their house. You can't allow them, if you destroy their complex, you should be able to give proper notice so that they can tell their family members that our president, the governor is coming today, and the governor is coming with his entourage, he's coming with security, so everybody be on your best behavior and be prepared for him.
An invitation, or when you propose an invitation, you have to wait for the response. You just don't go because you said, I'm coming tomorrow.
All right, let's not tell you what was being said yesterday. Let's play you some excerpts from the press address, the media parley that former Governor Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the FCT, had yesterday. Take a listen.
If you have committed an offense to be people, what is wrong? Is it a criminal offense? It's provided in the Constitution.
You can't just wait till 2027 to vote him out.
Am I a member of the Assembly? The point I'm making, if you have committed an infraction of the Constitution and the Assembly deems it fit to say you should be impeached, let me tell you, politics is not played just like this. Is it the first person that people have threatened about impeachment? Don't you know what to do? What is all this hula value that they will impeach? And let me tell you, and I have heard people say, oh, if they impeach him, there will be breakdown one another. Rubbish. Hold on, rubbish. Nonsense, which is just nonsense. Listen, nonsense. Rubbish. Tell me who are the militants? Who is not a militant? Who is born as a militant? No, tell me the person that's born. The day you were giving birth, they say you're a militant. Who is not a militant?
That was quite a long address. There's so many things that he's talked about. So this is him saying, how dare they say that they're going to bomb things up if Siminalayi Fubara is impeached? He says nothing will happen if Fubara is impeached. Benga, do you think that that might be an option that they will consider?
I mean, from the way he's sounding, it doesn't. And it's. I mean, these are elder statesmen, and he served in different executive capacity. As he's serving as a minister, he was governor, he was also a local government chairman. And you understand that the interests of people should be first. He was complaining about how the governor removed one of the chiefs from his family without consultation and due process. And these are personal issues. It shouldn't affect the operations, day-to-day operations of the River State government. If you have personal things against the governor, why not wait till election season and do what you have to do to, I mean, tell your people to vote him out if that's what you want. But all of this is becoming a mess. It's becoming messier by the day because it's very personal to them. And I wonder, he should be speaking with a reconciliatory term, because if you've noticed, Olive, the body language of the governor has changed since the Supreme Court ruling, and he's been making entreaties, he's been trying to, negotiate with the other side, but they're being adamant. And I mean, if the Supreme Court says you should represent the budget, he's trying to do that, and they locked him up. But we'll wait to see this ever-evolving situation and observe things in River State. Right.
I mean, it's just quite a lot going on in River State. Worry about governance in River State, and if normalcy will return anytime soon. We'll discuss in depth about the drama that's been unfolding, especially looking at the media sit down that the former governor had yesterday, and a number of things were said. It was even beyond the potential of Siminalayi Fubara being impeached. He said, I don't know if we played that clip, where he said, is it because he's collecting Nigeria and FAC, and that's why he had the audacity to do that. So there's an element of personal vendetta in there, but there's also the political element. This is politics. At the end of the day, people play their best cards. You play your cards when you have a higher negotiating chance, and it does seem like Sim Fubara has been backed into a corner, even though a number of the political elites and the bigwigs in River State seem to support him, but it's beyond that. It's what are the cards saying? What are the cards on the table saying? But beyond all the politicking, the people of River State and governance should be paramount and should be priority. Much later, I will take what Nigerians have been saying regarding Governor Siminalayi Fubara, former Governor Nyesom Wike, and the whole River State political brouhaha in general. But let's come back here from where we're broadcasting live. We're broadcasting live from the nation's commercial capital, Lagos. And
Center of excellence.
The center of excellence indeed. Lagos is not without its drama. As we recall, on the 13th of January 2025, the House of Assembly Speaker was removed by 35 lawmakers due to reasons they cited as high-handedness and all the likes. Corruption and there were other strong allegations that were leveled against him. And amidst all that jubilation, Mojisola Meranda was elected as the first female speaker. It will turn out, unfortunately, that her tenure had to come to an end 49 days later, making her again the shortest serving speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Now, reports have it that the advisors, the people who had to meet to deliberate on the happenings in the House of Assembly, especially with regards to leadership, that the advice had been that Mojisola Meranda resigns for the interest of the party, and that Obasa would take over and shortly after resign, and then there will be a fresh election for speaker who will come from Lagos West. It would seem now that Obasa, having taken over the reins of authority or leadership in the House, had then adjourned meetings indefinitely. I think they hadn't had a sitting for a while, according to some of the reports, but he has refused to resign. Now, it would seem that Lagos State lawmakers have met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has now affirmed Obasa's leadership, meaning there is no resignation. So all the rumors of him potentially resigning for the interest of the party and for all the political reasons that you may think of do no longer hold water, and he's going to remain the Speaker of the House, and the lawmakers have agreed to now work with him. Again, Lagos politics or Nigerian politics will baffle you. Benga?
I mean, the big question is what happens to A.V. Dice's separation of powers. We're not just, this is the executive arm and the legislature at the federal and state level. President Tinubu ceased to be governor of Lagos so many years ago, but he still has his hands
Tentacles,
firmly
yeah.
on the grip of Lagos politics. And the next question is, I mean, Obasa wasn't just removed because, you know, the overwhelming majority of the lawmakers in Lagos didn't like his face or like the way he dressed. There were grievous allegations bordering on corruption, high-handedness, and all of that. And then when he managed to, you know, abracadabra, you know, democracy, Nigeria's type, to find his way back to the seat. So the big question is, what happened to all these weighty allegations that were leveled against him? As the president giving him carte blanche, is he starting on a new slate as his scenes been swept away by the magical APC broom?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, these are elected officials. It's the people that matter. President Tinubu's vote is only one vote at the polls. So,
and nobody is saying that President Tinubu cannot or should not wield some measure of influence in Lagos State. We can't take that away. This is politics. He was governor of Lagos State. He, of course, has some measure of influence in the state. However, like Benga has said rightly, there is separation of power for a reason. The responsibilities of the executive should not cross over to the responsibilities of the legislature. The assembly should be allowed to determine for itself who its leader is, who its speaker is. Because again, he who plays the piper dictates the tune. How can Nigerians trust or Lagosians trust
they're
that?
answerable to the people who
Exactly.
elected them there. So if you want to consult anyone, consult the people that put you there in the first place. It's almost like they've delegated their leadership to somebody else, or decision-making processes.
My
which is
question,
very bad for
what I'm
democracy.
curious about, however, is what did they tell Mojisola Miranda that made her resign? What did they promise her? What was the greater good of the party that they
One of the analysts
shared with her?
that was with us earlier this week said, you know, she came in through the same process of kingmakers and godfatherism, so she can't. So if the kingmakers say, look, it's not your turn, step down, you have to listen to them. It's just what it is.
Well, the Akande panel have given their reports, but it does seem that Obasa is in for a long time. And maybe not, they will meet again with the president. We don't know how things will turn out, but of course, be sure to know
The
that...
president can't be meeting with them every day. He has serious national issues to attend to.
Well, it is still his home base. Lagos is still his base. He will still come to body law.
Yeah.
You know, Lagos is still his foundation. So I think that he's particularly
the
interested in Lagos
lawmakers
state
need to
politics.
get back to work. I mean, the roads are in bad shape, and there's still no street lights in Lagos.
Absolutely, and the rainy season is coming. Please, there's so much that needs to be
Let's
done.
focus
But
on governance.
at the end of the day, what we do not want to see is that politics takes over governance. So we hope that the lawmakers can return to doing what they have been voted in to do, to represent the interests of, you know, the citizens of Lagos. But we'll be discussing in depth into some of these stories much later. Let's share with you what the top stories are, and then we can bring you breakfast headlines. This morning on Breakfast Central, Governor Siminalayi Fubara denied entry into Rivers Assembly Complex. He's spoken about it and said he's ready to represent the budget. Nothing will happen if Fubara is impeached, Nyesom Wike says in his press address. And we, of course, will be looking at stakeholders embracing digital farming for increased yield. I think this is a fantastic idea. And stakeholders seek more efforts to safeguard digital rights. We review the newspaper front pages, but I'll be sharing with you what Nigerians are saying. Remember to tweet at News Central TV.
Hello, welcome back. This is Breakfast Headlines. I am Benga Borowa. We begin the news in Rivers State, where tension fled at the State House of Assembly complex on Wednesday, when Governor Siminalayi Fubara was denied entry. Security personnel locked the gates, blocking the governor's convoy from accessing the premises. Officials claimed there was no official communication from Fubara regarding his visit. However, the governor insisted he had informed Speaker Martin Zamoule through a letter and even tried calling him on Tuesday. The stand-up highlights ongoing political tensions in the state. In the meantime, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has said that there would be nothing wrong with the state lawmakers impeaching his successor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The minister was speaking at the media parley in Abuja on Wednesday. He argued that Governor Fubara already crossed the line by withholding lawmakers' salaries for months. Still talking politics, there was a mild drama at the People's Democratic Party national headquarters in Abuja. Staff of the party clashed with suspected thugs loyal to the embattled National Secretary of the party, Samuel Anyanwu. The clash led to the deployment of heavy security personnel comprising operatives of the Nigerian Police Force and Department of State Services, and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in a bid to restore law and order. The staff of the PDP who witnessed the clash but refused to speak on camera says that the problem started when some members of the party supporting Anyanwu arrived at the secretariat and tried to stop members of the National Working Committee expected to attend their midweek meeting from gaining entrance into the facility. This, however, resulted into a fracas where they were overpowered by those on ground, leading to the deployment of security operatives to restore calm to the situation. In the meantime, the National Secretary of the Social Democratic Party, Olu Agoloye, has petitioned the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, over an alleged plot to force him to resign. There were insinuations that members of the Social Democratic Party, loyal to the former governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who just joined the party, are pushing for Agoloye's resignation. On Monday, El-Rufai resigned his membership of the All Progressive Congress and joined the SDP after months of strategic meetings with opposition party leaders. Upon his resignation from the APC, El-Rufai said he would work to unite opposition leaders against the APC. El-Rufai, who served as governor of Kaduna State from 2015 to 2023, has been critical of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, particularly since the Senate declined to confirm him as a minister. That's all on Breakfast Headlines. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue with our major discussions here on Breakfast Central. Just stay with us. You're welcome back. Now, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara was denied access to the Rivers State House of Assembly complex yesterday, while lawmakers loyal to former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and Minister of the FCT were reportedly in a plenary session at the time of the governor's arrival. Fubara, who arrived at the complex in the company of top government officials, including the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Tami Danagogo, and his Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie, met a locked gate, effectively preventing his entry. Speaking to journalists, the governor accused Speaker Martins Amewule of deliberately avoiding him, stating that correspondent was sent to the house to inform them of his visit. He also stated that several calls placed to the lawmaker went unanswered.
Gentlemen of the press, I'm here myself this morning with members of the few members of the council to comply with the Supreme Court judgment. Before my arrival, I've already made several attempts by phone call to reach the Speaker and other members. I also did a letter personally which was transmitted to the Honorable Speaker for this particular application. But it's unfortunate that at the gates, you can see that the place is completely sealed and there is no sign that anything is going to happen today. The reason why we're doing this, I've always said it, in the interest of our people, which is the most important thing. Well, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Maybe they're working on their letter.
Meanwhile, at a media party in Abuja yesterday, Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, said there is nothing wrong if the lawmakers decide to sack Fubara for alleged impeachable offenses, including withholding their salaries for months.
If you have committed an offense to be impeached, what is wrong? Is it a criminal offense? It's provided in the Constitution.
You can't just wait till 2027 to vote him out.
Am I a member of the Assembly? The point I'm making, if you have committed an infraction of the Constitution and the Assembly deems it fit to say you should be impeached, let me tell you, politics is not played just like this. Is it the first person that people have threatened about impeachment? Don't you know what to do? What is all this hula value that they will impeach? And let me tell you, and I have heard people say, oh, if they impeach him, there will be breakdown one another. Rubbish. Hold on, rubbish. Nonsense, which is just nonsense. Listen, nonsense. Rubbish. Tell me who are the militants? Who is not a militant? Who is born as a militant? No, tell me the person that's born. The day you were giving birth, they say you're a militant. Who is not a militant?
Joining us now to discuss the persistent political crisis is PDP chieftain in Rivers State, Honorable Collins Odu. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
And thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. And also joining us is the Chairman, Action People's Party, APP, in Rivers State, Honorable Sonny Wike. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Honorable Sonny, I'll begin with you on your thoughts about the denial of Governor Siminalayi Fubara into the Assembly complex yesterday. We've seen the arguments for and against, but let's get your thoughts.
Well, I want to give a comment on this matter based on objectivity, without trying to play the terrorist or any bias over this. It's unfortunate, but very unfortunate that at this level of our democracy, one will be such fashion. Never before in the history of Rivers politics, I want access to the because I've been there for I've seen governors come and I've seen governors. I have not seen any government so humiliated and saying it's not a city. Before now, we have an assembly that will take a part of governor. What does
All right, Honorable Sonny, unfortunately, we're having a bit of struggle with your audio, so we're hoping that we can rectify that. But let's also, if you can help us rectify the audio from your end, maybe log out and log back in. But let's bring in Honorable Collins Odu into the conversation. I had asked Honorable Sonny Wike about his thoughts regarding the governor not being given access to the Assembly complex. Let's get your thoughts as well on that.
Yeah. Good morning once more.
Good morning.
Yeah, you said the governor was not given access to the complex. First and foremost, that is not the Assembly complex. That is the Assembly quarters. That is where the Assembly members reside. So we would expect that with the heightened tension in the state, the place where they live should be constantly locked. But that notwithstanding, let me go into the point. He was not locked out. You see, if you are able to cite the letter written by the governor, you would recall that the letter bears 11th of March. And yesterday was just 12th of March. And the governor had activities, as I said yesterday, as I did before yesterday, before this letter was written. And let me even cut the story short. The House of Assembly spokesperson has come up to say that they never received any correspondence from the governor. Even the governor confirmed it while he was at the gate there yesterday, that he made attempts to reach them on phone, which didn't happen. So to say that he was locked out is completely out of it. Recall that this same governor had visited this complex, these assembly quarters before, and then in a King Kong manner broke the gate and entered there. It's unfortunate that the hands of time has changed now. Therefore, he can now begin to tell people. But I think that the manner in which he wrote the letter and then said he was coming to present the budget, he wrote on 11th, you say you're coming to present the budget on the 12th. I'm a former member of the Rivers State House of Assembly. That's completely inappropriate. You write to the Assembly, and then the Assembly will have time to fix for you to come. Within this period, even former members of the River State House of Assembly will be informed that, look, the governor is coming to present budget. And then we all will come and welcome him in a grand style. I think that the approach was completely in order.
But he had said he had tried, he said he had tried to call the speaker. He made calls to a number of the lawmakers. I mean, from the reports we have, and that there hasn't been any way to get across to them. So don't you think that we are way past all these technicalities, and right now the focus should be looking to push River State forward, and whatever needs to be done, e.g. representing the budget, should be done?
I'm very happy that this question is asked now. You see, recall that there has been frayed nerves in the states with various tantrums, all manner of languages used by the governor. You recall that the House of Assembly has remained very quiet, but the governor has, without hesitation, in every forum, called them enemies of the state, his enemies and all of that. So one expects that as the Supreme Court has ruled now that this is the line to toe or the line to follow, the governor will, in his rightful thinking, sit down and plan how to reintegrate and reestablish relationship with these people, not just grandstanding by playing to the gallery, running to write a letter, do this and do that. I think that the governor, in his rightful sense, should get in touch with people who by now they should be softening all the frayed nerves before you come and do all of this. You don't still try to instigate the already tense situation.
Okay, now, Honorable Odu, from your submission so far, it seems like it's almost payback time by the legislators who you allege have been hurt by comments and actions of the governor in the past, and there should be ways of doing things. But looking at the overall interest, as my colleague Olive said, of the River State people, because the situation is different. The Supreme Court has withheld allocation of the River State government, and we do know the implications of this. So the governor has also tried to make entreaties. He tried to meet with members of the House and the Speaker, and they refused to see him. He went there yesterday to fulfill some of the conditions of the Supreme Court. In obeying the Supreme Court order, they refused to see him. So how do we move forward from this standoff? And in your opinion, as a former member of the State House of Assembly, how would you recommend he goes about, calming frayed nerves, offering an olive branch, and a reconciliatory tone?
I recall that the Honorable Minister of the FCT made this whole thing simple yesterday in his press briefing. He said the governor knows what to do. He even mentioned names of those the governor could reach. Do you understand? So I think that going forward, as it stands now, like we mentioned, frayed nerves, use of foul language here and there, and the need for the state to move forward, all you need to do is humble yourself.
And you mentioned that you should talk to...
The governor is the aggressor. And at this point, he needs to just downplay his ego and for the interest of the Rivers people. Recall that few days after the Supreme Court judgment, the Assembly members asked him to submit the budget within 48 hours. The people are seeing it as ultimatum. It is not. They made they gave a reason why they said in 48 hours. They said for the past 2 years, we have been traumatized, we have been chastised, and we want to just handle this and go for leave for about 3 months to go and rest. And that was the reason they asked him. The governor did not respond to that request. He did not respond to the request, nor did he send a message to them?
We seem to be struggling with the audio as well with Mr. Odu. We hope that that can be rectified. So much had been said. You've said a lot of things. You did say that the governor is the aggressor in this scenario. From the body language that Nigerians can see on the outside, the former minister granted a media parley yesterday, and he was very, very rattled in that media parley. You could see him visibly upset by a number of the happenings in Rivers State. So some would argue that in this case, it might not necessarily be Nyesom Fubara, who has said repeatedly from the moment the Supreme Court gave the judgment that he was willing to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court. He said he wanted to see the certified true copy, and when upon receiving it, he said he's making the steps now to represent the budget and will do whatever he needs to do. The former minister, on the other hand, had said a number of things that some would consider insightful. In this case, is he not being the aggressor? Honorable Odu, yes.
He is the driver on the seat in this state now, and we expect him, because if he succeeds, he's on his head. If he doesn't succeed, he's on his head. He's the governor. So I think that at this point in time, now that Supreme Court, because he waited till this long, these issues would have been resolved long time ago. And like you said, he said he will implement. We have had this President Bola Ahmed Tinubu intervene. The governor made a state broadcast that he was going to implement. Till date, we didn't see that. Okay, to buttress another point. Look, the governor is acting as if he's unreliable, not keeping to his words. He said he had not received the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment, but went ahead. There are two items that were decided. He went ahead to implement that of the local government. He hadn't received the CTC copy, and now he claimed that because he hasn't received the CTC copy, he's not going to reach out to the assembly members. But the assembly members wrote to him to say, look, come in the interest of Rivers people. I don't see anywhere where these assembly boys have in any way wronged him or wronged the state. They have been proactive in all of their actions.
All right. I want to bring in Honorable Sonny into the conversation as well, and I want him to react to this same question. When Honorable Collins Odu was speaking, he did say that Governor Siminalayi Fubara is the aggressor in this situation. And my question to him was that from the body language we are seeing, especially from the media parley that was granted by the former governor and the minister of the FCT, former Governor Nyesom Wike, we could see a number of statements they had made. For example, if they impeach him, nothing will happen. He's a militant. You know, the governor is acting up because he's getting IGR and facts. So many things were being said, and some people would consider that as, you know, being inflammatory, and that he might be the one that's the aggressor. And I want you to speak to that as well, the media parley and the reactions.
You see, I have always said, and I've maintained that when you're in your Olympian height or pinnacle of your career, there are so many things with your wealth, with your power. There are so many things that are possible that may not be advisable. You know, one will expect that there are some certain level you attain in life. There are things that you shouldn't say anymore. There are things that shouldn't come out of your mouth. You know, I'm sure, like you said, the whole Nigeria, the whole world is seeing what is going on. I'm not speaking for Governor Fubara. I'm speaking as a stakeholder in Rivers State, having been commissioner twice in this state. So I'm speaking as a stakeholder. What is happening in Rivers State is an eyesore. In the first instance, desperate situation demands desperate approaches to it. The assembly quarters you're talking about, that's where currently the state assembly people have been meeting for the past how many months now, doling out bills and even compelling the governor to even sign them. The same complex from where they wrote to the governor, give him ultimatum of 48 hours to come and present the budget. And governor said, okay, I have no qualms with that, but let me see the satisfied true copy of the Supreme Court judgment. And finally, when he got it, he wrote to you, inviting you for party, just for you people to discuss and interface as members of the same or citizens of the same state. They insulted him, they didn't even honor that invitation. Now he wrote back to them because their argument and their grounds was that the letter emanated from the SSG's office. Who is SSG and who is the governor? SSG represents the governor. Now, governor overlooked that and wrote to them personally. That's the document I saw on social media. Thank you very much. Requesting to come and present that same project for which they have given him 48 hours to come and present. He went there, the place was shut down. The gate was locked. And then somebody is somewhere trying to beg the issue and trying to rationalize it because you're taking side or you're either on this side or on the other side. It is River State that is suffering. It is River State people that is suffering.
Please hold. Does the argument
know where to draw the line on all things they do in life? How can somebody derogate the office of governor of River State in the manner which they have done it?
Honorable Sonny, if I may interject at this point.
Is talking now.
If I may interject at this point, you said you talked about the letter that Governor Sim wrote. And when Honorable Collins was speaking, part of the argument in support of the actions that we've seen play out is that the letter was dated 10th, that he would appear on the 11th, and he said the governor appeared on the 12th. One. And two, he said also that, the governor should have gone to speak to a number of people to sort of wet the ground before coming.
To them before now. They just simply summon them no matter the hours that they appear. The one that is justifying the duration of the letter was a former member of assembly that you will not even have the guts to question the governor. If governor invites him to come, he comes. Even if he's not invited, he feels offended for not being invited. He feels neglected for not being invited. We have all been in this state.
Honorable
we have all been in this state.
Now, Honorable Wokekoro, we've seen that this is a very, the situation is, there are frayed nerves on both sides. There's a litany of allegations against the governor for what he did in the past. There are also allegations that, if he really wanted the interest of the state, if he had the interest of the state at heart, why didn't he make all those entreaties a long time before the certified true copy of the Supreme Court judgment came? That is only just grandstanding and playing to the gallery. If I may, I'm getting somewhere, sir.
The Constitution. I'm coming, sir. You're dealing with constitutional issues, all right? When Mr. President intervened with all good intent and purposes, a lot of majority of Rivers people did not agree to it. The governor said, because I want peace, I'm going to implement it. Remember, before then, there has been litigations in court regarding the legality of the assembly members that have defected in line with Section 109 of the Constitution. But the governor said, okay, because I've agreed to what Mr. President has said, I'm going to withdraw this matter. They refused to withdraw their own matter. That was what messed up our case, the governor's case. So governor was waiting for Supreme Court to define whether they are still members of the assembly or not. Unfortunately, the thing turned out the way it did. And the man said, okay, fine, no problem. This is Supreme Court, we must have to obey it. Give me time, let me see the true certified copy of the judgment. They didn't wait for that. They ordered immediately that he should appear before them within 48 hours to represent the budget. While waiting for that, they also have to invite RISEC that conducted local government election last year to come and appear and explain his role in that local government election. And also explain who gave him authority to issue a new timetable for the local government election. For as I speak with you today, that same RISEC chairman is been declared wanted. In fact, a warrant of arrest has been issued by the state assembly. So if they have come with good mind, if they have come with best intentions for Rivers people, would they be taking all these actions? I mean, you're talking about, I'm pained because you're talking about an election that my party won. You're talking about a local government election that my party won almost 100%. And today, that opportunity has been denied me. It's been denied my party. And now we are ready for the election. We have accepted what RISEC has given us as timetable. They are not satisfied with it. As I speak with you today, they are sitting and amending laws of local government.
So what do we
suit their purpose?
What do you do?
The same assembly that somebody saying, the same quarter that said somebody is saying that the governor ought not to have done that. In the same place they even sat after the governor left. That's where they be sitting. Who is fooling who?
So, Honorable Wike, in your own wisdom and as an interested party in this case, a stakeholder in River State affairs, you're dealing with, it seems you're dealing with a party that is adamant to play ball, or they're trying to settle political scores. So in the interest of River State people, how do you suggest everybody moves on? Because the allocation for River State is being withheld by the Supreme Court, and they've given certain conditions to be met before these allocations can be released. So what's the way forward in this sort of Mexican standoff that we find ourselves?
There is no other way forward than what the governor has said. He said, I've accepted wholeheartedly to implement the decision of the Supreme Court. I'm expecting that the other party should understand that they're representative of the rivers of the River State, not representative of Sonny, and begin to reason beyond their individual and personal interests, and consider River State interests first and paramount. Because when that is done, I can assure you that River State will move on. But when I sit down here, because I have a godfather who dictates how I must move, and when I must have to attend to things, that's why the difficulty is. That's why the problem is. The governor have accepted, and he has even taken steps. Like somebody said, he immediately asked the council chairman to leave, handing over to the next high-ranking officers in the local government. Now, he has also gone to the assembly to represent the budget that he presented to the assembly that was led by Okojumbo. And then he was stopped. Because all of them knows that if there is no allocation to the state, the governor cannot perform. The state will not move forward. And then you see that why somebody is saying, that if governor is impeached, heavens will not fall. God.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's have Honorable Collins. Let's have Honorable Collins or do speak to a number of the points that you've highlighted. I'm sure that he does have a response.
Yes, thank you very much. My elder brother there, who is the chairman of the new, I don't know what they call their party. He delved into an area where I think that his conscience ought to blame him. Okay, the Supreme Court ruling came up, and we're trying to, like I said, douse trade nerves, and all of a sudden, the River State Electoral Commissioner came up with a program to conduct an election. I begin to wonder, do we know what is consequence management? Do we know what is called avoidable losses? This chairman was asked to conduct an election, and he did not meet the electoral requirements to conduct the election, and the All Progressives Congress went to court, and the court, up to the hog of the Supreme Court, nullified all that he did. And this is the same man who should sit down and be answerable to the fact that he disobeyed court orders to do things on his will, and now he's fixing another election. Is it a Rivers money? Anyway, I won't blame him. When the governor could come on air to say so much money was wasted in this fight. I mean, these are avoidable things. We should apply consequence management. We shouldn't be, because the money is not ours, it's Rivers money, it's not my personal money. You begin to waste it anyhow. How dare Honorable Justice Adolfo Zenebeli, after conducting an avoidable election, come to say he wants to conduct election again? Well, how? And without, there is no 2024 budget. There is no 2025 budget. How do you want to conduct this? You just fix a date. How are you moving? These are part of the things we are talking about, that the government should sit down and think, and not to begin to grandstand and
Yeah, finally, Honorable Odu, don't you think both parties should accommodate each other and, you know, these date things and all of that in the interest of peace and the people of Rivers State? You can't, all these unnecessary protocols, you need to give 72 hours, 73. Let's just do things that would move the state forward, because it seems it's a revenge time or vendetta. How do you see this playing out, and what would be the best approach for you?
The House of Assembly is willing and has been willing ever since to adhere to anything that will bring peace. You recall that it was the governor who refused to represent this budget earlier on. Let me not use bad language. Instigated people to go and challenge it in court. And even when there was no case when he was supposed to present this budget, he refused to. And we're after how many years, we're back to where we should have passed long time ago. So please, like I said, and the Honorable Minister of the FCT, the leader of our party, said yesterday that the governor knows what to do. This is a family. The governor knows that we are a family. That man sitting down there, sorry, my other brother that is there, is a member of PDP. He's a member of our family. I don't know when he decided to join another party. So it's a family, and we can sit down and sort these things out.
This PDP that you mentioned,
avoid all the...
Oh, I mean, I think a number of concerns that we have would be if the PDP has any influence in resolving the dispute in Rivers State, especially because the two parties, the two warring factions, are members of the People's Democratic Party. But I'm believing that the coming days we'll see more updates in Rivers State. At the end of the day, what we want is a state that moves forward regardless of politics, ego, semantics, and what may be. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Honorable Sonny Wokekoro and Honorable Collins Odu, thank you for your time with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
We certainly wish the best for Rivers State. Let's move now to Nasarawa State, where the Governor Abdullahi Sule, alongside other stakeholders, is urging all levels of government and development partners to adopt digital technology to tackle food insecurity in Nigeria. This appeal was made in Abuja during an engagement with agricultural stakeholders keen on improving digital agricultural extension and advisory services in Nigeria. Our correspondent, Joshua Imari, brings us more in this report.
Gathering, which brings together experts, government representatives, and key players in Nigeria's agricultural sector, aims to discuss ways farming practices can be enhanced using digital technology. They emphasize that for Nigeria to overcome food insecurity, indigenous farmers must embrace digital farming solutions to boost productivity and ensure stable food supply.
Food security should not just be a slogan. Food security should be a reality because Nigeria has the capacity to have total food security, but it will only happen if we are serious about it.
Others stress the need for swift action to meet the growing food demands of Nigeria's expanding population.
We need to transform agriculture at this point, and that process needs to be accelerated as quickly as possible because we know that our population is increasing. By 2025, based on the data that we have, if we don't do nothing, food imports will be about $110 billion US. Something needs to be done to stop that, and we need to do that as quickly as possible.
They also highlighted the importance of ensuring that digital farming solutions reach farmers in remote areas, which they say will help maximize the impact of innovative agriculture, thereby boosting Nigeria's food production capacity. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Just to give you a recap of what stories we've discussed today. We did talk about Governor Fubara being denied entry into the Rivers Assembly complex. Nothing will happen if Fubara is impeached, says FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. We also told you that stakeholders have embraced digital farming for increased yield.
Coming up next in Breakfast Central, stakeholders seek more efforts to safeguard digital rights. And the newspaper front pages will be brought your way. We'll open the phone lines for you to call in as well. And I'll be bringing what Nigerians are saying, particularly focusing on Rivers State. Stay with us. National Assembly proposes 35 billion naira capital base for the insurance firms, 12-month jail term for the third-party insurance. Lula invites Tinubu to Brazil. Gains of president's economic policies by Shetima. UNSA to arraign arrested IED manufacturers, U.S. Center for Nigeria. Tinubu's reforms attracted $17 billion dollars investment in 2024. Okay, that's good.
And on the front, the picture there.
Yeah, so that's the picture of the unfortunate incident at Otedola Bridge where we saw cars burnt, the explosion, the gas explosion, and lives and properties destroyed. Senate, Natasha suspended for breaking rules, misconduct, shops, goods worth billions gone in Ibadan market fire. So as we're talking about the Otedola Bridge, there's also the Ibadan market fire. But let's begin the big story this morning, Uwade, with Rivers. It's not possible for us to start today's newspaper front page without talking about Rivers State. And just to mention to our audience, if you'd like to share your thoughts on any of the stories that we're looking at and we're analyzing, the numbers to call are on your TV screen. Please call and be a part of the show. Uwade, what is happening in Rivers State? Nyesom Wike, Siminalayi Fubara, ego at play. This one said, I sent in letter to say I'm coming. I sent in, oh, you did not sign it yourself. It's Secretary to State Government that signed it. Oh, I sent in another one I signed personally. It's exhausting. When will the people of Rivers State be prioritized? And all this drama put aside?
Maybe like I said, when the State Assembly decides to impeach Fubara and decide that they will have a governor who dances the tune of the piper. And for me, that is scary. Scary in the sense that Nyesom Wike he just left as a governor. There were two governors of Rivers State before him under this democratic dispensation. And I don't think we heard their voices this much about issues relating to Rivers. Do you understand? Under his, what's called, we tell you that it was because he was such a powerful and strong politician, that's why. No. It's because also they wanted you to go do your job. And the one that really beat me yesterday, and I was really taken aback when I saw it, and I was almost in shock, was the fact that he called a press conference, and the headline was, the Minister of the FCT was addressing national issues. And half of those national issues related to Rivers State. So I'm wondering, was it the Minister of Defense that was talking about national issues relating to security, or the Minister of Interiors and Internal Affairs to talk generally about national issues, or it was the President or the Vice President or even the Senate President to talk about the national issue? He's the Minister of the Federal Capital.
But in fairness to him, don't you think it's the journalists at that parley that were throwing questions related to River State?
In the first instance, the caption addressing national issues is wrong. And I blame us. And when I say us, I mean everybody within the media space. When you have those kind of parleys, it's not, why would the minister be addressing national issues? The minister should be addressing issues related to the FCT, and the president will address national issues, or even the Minister for Interior, where he would speak on behalf of the president to address national issues, or the Minister of Defense to talk about security as he evolves around national issues. And this idea that Wike is continually popping up in the River State, what's it called? It just beats me. I was listening to the interview with the Honorable, and he was more like, and I heard the statement where he says, former Governor Wike says Fubara knows what to do. What exactly is he supposed to do?
We're going to even ask Honorable Collins. I think we wanted to ask him.
He knows the people he needs to talk to.
Who are these people? The governor of the state.
Maybe they have a governor advisory council.
Okay, let's look at the similarity between Lagos and River State. Lagos had this protracted crisis for a bit, back and forth, DSS invading. We saw the return of Abasa part 1, 2, and 3. Before, the president just called in from Abuja, and then everything ended. Look, this is how you deal with it. Pandef met the president yesterday, a group of stakeholders. But let's take this call. Nonso from
Port Harcourt. Nonso, good morning. Thanks for calling. Please, what's happening in your state?
Good question.
Nonso, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, good morning. My name is, like I say, is Nonso from Port Harcourt. Please, I am calling to contribute based on a River State issue. Like you people have stated it earlier on, I think Governor Wike have served for 8 years. He was the one that imposed a SIM on the people of River State. And initially, everybody did not buy the idea of Wike imposing SIM on River State. But finally, SIM started governing the state. And right now, everybody is enjoying SIM government. Because like my wife is working at the Lagos bus stop. For the 8 years Wike have been governor, nobody have entered the bus and said this is River State bus from a Wike. Bus is all over River State. And now this man is doing well. Why don't you allow this man to govern the state? And you are forcing him to resign or be impeached. Even Tonio.
We are struggling with your audio. We hope that you can call back and we can hear you. Okay. But thank you so much. But I think the general sense of what he's trying to say is Nyesom Wike has had his time. Why not allow Sim Fubara, especially because you forced, according to him, you forced Sim Fubara on River State people. Yeah.
So we have a Mexican standoff here. Both parties are adamant nobody is going to move ground.
Yeah.
And
Siminalayi Fubara is saying
he's obeying the Supreme Court law, but the other party remembers his past sins and it's payback time for them. They don't even want him to do what the Supreme Court has asked him to do. So how do we move on from here? And Mr. President is saying, go and obey the Supreme Court judgment. And he's trying to obey, and he said it to the world. So how do we move on from a party that is adamant?
If you feel that he has done wrong, are you with me? Call up his sins and debate it and decide whether you want to impeach him. And if you want to impeach him, I guess you will have the numbers that you require, which is 2/3 of the State Assembly. Then go ahead and do that. And stop brandishing all forms of, throwing things away.
The letter
came, it was signed by this, he didn't give them 72 hours, and so on and so forth. Well, 72 hours of what? When did the letter go there? Was it on a Thursday and then Friday? He came in on when? On Tuesday.
All right, let's still head back to, South. We have, Thank God, calling from Delta State. Good morning, Thank God. Thanks for calling. Thank God for your calling.
Yeah, good morning, madam. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead with your comment.
I want to contribute on the issue of River State. Yes, actually, this is Nigeria, and River State is part of Nigeria. I somehow believe that we have rules of law in this country. The judgment of the Supreme Court to present the budget to the normal assembly. Martins Amawule is the rightful owner of that assembly. It should not be about Wike. They should stop calling Wike because River State belongs to this country. The Fubara himself, the governor of River State, he knows the law. Let him go and attend to what the Supreme Court judgment said. He should present the budget and all those commissioners he has appointed on behalf of the House of Assembly. He should go back and take all of them back to the House of Assembly to confirm them. Who confirmed them before he start running the government? And Fubara himself knows that. How can you use 3 people or 4 people to run the Assembly of River State? That was where the man that was where he lost everything. In this country, a lot of people doesn't obey law. You see a lot of people, because when PDP were in power, they had how many years to rule? They frustrated a lot of people in this country. But now it has come to APC. And we have a law. This is the same law that the same PDP used in this country. So let him obey the law. If he doesn't obey the law,
he's trying to obey it seems. All right, but thank God. Thank you for calling and sharing your thoughts. I think the question now is, he has said from the jump that he was willing to obey, and he has started to make the efforts to obey, but again, politics will politic. I don't want us to sleep on Rivers State, but if you have any final thoughts on this so that we can move on.
I really didn't want to speak about it, but you said I should.
Yes, so we must speak about it.
Spoken about it. The man says he wants to obey the Supreme Court order. Then let him do what he needs to do. And if you think that when he's done with that, and if you think that his sins are not forgiven, then go ahead and do the next thing.
All right. Let's go to another story. The front page of The Guardian. On the front page, we can see a number of the stories which Benga took earlier. But I want us to take the one on Senator Natasha. Yes. Senate cites gross misconduct for Akpoti Uduaghan's suspension and denies sexual harassment link. You've been following up with the story. You've seen the most recent update. She's gone to
Inter-Parliamentary Union.
Yes, the Parliamentary Union to ask for help. But before we get into the details of Senator Natasha, we have Idris calling from Edo State. Good morning, Idris.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to contribute this the River State crisis. It's an ongoing issue. I think the governor have done the right thing. And the governor is doing the right thing. And I believe that Wike should allow him. Wike had his 8 years undisturbed. There are other governors who were there before him. All of them have been very calm, allowing the states to go on. So the development that is in River State is of a great concern, not individual people looking for relevance. God has blessed him. He's in Abuja as an SC minister. As such, he should allow Fubara to rule the state and to the House of Assembly. Whatever that has happened, they should allow things to, they should seek for reconciliation for the well-being of the general citizen of River State. That's my humble contribution.
Idris, thank you very much for calling and sharing your thoughts on that. I'm very certain that a number of the people who will call today will be calling because of Rivers drama, because it seems it's the hottest story. But I want us to quickly touch on Senator Natasha Akpoti Uduaghan's case against the Senate and her latest updates with regards, taking this to the IPU. Do you think that makes any influence? And what picture do you think this paints about the Senate, about the Red Chamber to the international community?
So let's first get something right. There are two aspects to this issue. One is the sexual harassment issue, which is different from the misconduct. Did she commit a misconduct in the National Assembly? In my opinion, yes, she did.
Was the suspension
does the misconduct in terms of the rules of the National Assembly, were the rules followed in terms of the suspension? In my opinion, I think yes. Let's take, don't get me wrong, because as a father and I have two daughters, I would not love anybody to molest, not even my partner or my sisters. Is wrong. Harassment is wrong. But there are two separate issues. So let's deal with the issue of misconduct. Was there a misconduct? Yes. Did the Senate follow the rules in terms of declaring that there was a misconduct? In my opinion, I think they did. Is the suspension right? In my opinion, I think it is. Dealing with the sexual harassment issue is a different thing entirely, which I think also, in my own opinion, the Senate should look at. Independent, the Senate Ethics Committee, they said, initially she didn't submit it correctly, and she has gone back and done that. So go look at that. But in terms of the misconduct, yes, because it was on live TV.
Yeah, but you've had senators do worse in the past. A shouting battle, almost getting to fisticuffs with each other. Whether you
think that there is a conspiracy is a different thing entirely. But the facts remain. There was a misconduct against the rules of the House, of the Senate. And did they look at that misconduct along the lines of those rules? Yes, they did.
Now, the punishment, is it commensurate to the offense?
That's a different thing.
No.
I cannot tell you what commensurate punishment will be. The Senate Ethics Committee is the one who provides that. And I'm sure if you look at the rules, they add suspension times for misconduct.
Okay, we'll come back to talk about the manner in which they have handled it, especially with regards to conversations about fair hearing. But we have Mustafa calling from Lagos. Good morning, Mustafa. Thanks for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
My name is Mustafa from Lagos. My take on research issue. Yoruba said we cannot come back from court, and we agree. They call this man to settle from beginning. He reviewed. Now, if he's the one that wins from Supreme Court, it will have a power over 27 lawmakers. But now you are losing. You lose from Supreme Court. You are now saying you will be here. Your power, how you told you, I think because you take us already. You can never let us go to court. If you think you win, I later win you. I will not even surrender for you again. I will torment you to know that if you win, that's the one to do the same thing to me. That's my take on it.
Okay, so now it's a battle of ego. I think we can all agree from this statement as well.
Time.
It's payback time. Do me, I do you. God no go vex.
While the people suffer.
While people suffer.
And I think, like I said earlier, deal with the issues. Are you with me? The issue is present the budget, present the commissioners, let's ratify them. Are you with me? Has Fubara agreed to do that? Yes. Has he put steps in place to be able to do that? Yes. Now, let him do that.
But the other party is...
Then the other party, when you are done with that, if you want to come back to his sins and say you want to put him under the guillotine, go ahead.
Okay, let's go back to Natasha.
Yeah.
The case of the sexual harassment case.
Yeah.
This is not to talk about the procedural issues in the house regarding, her sitting arrangement or the likes. Sexual harassment is a grave issue. This is International Women's Month. Senator Godswill Akpabio has been seen to be a judge in his own course, which is against the principle of natural justice, because he's sitting, receiving the report and sitting as a senator, whereas there were allegations against him. So, what picture do you think this paints? Do you think that we're taking sexual harassment issues wrong? And this is not, this is not to say she was right or he was wrong. At least let there be an opportunity for this to be heard fairly.
And I totally agree. And that's what I said now. Are you with me? Sexual harassment is not a joke. Anywhere, whether it's in National Assembly or is even in someone's home, is gross misconduct also. Now, if the allegations are against Senate President Akpabio, what I think he should do is step aside. Are you with me?
Pending
and let the Senate or the Deputy Senate President be the one to manage this process. And then everybody would see or would believe that it is being seen to be fair and transparent. Because you can't bring an allegation against me and then I'm the judge. And that's where and I think at the end of this, what the National Assembly should do, and generally in a number of workplaces have been doing that, is to start to put down a proper policy and rules documented against sexual harassment, or what is termed sexual harassment, so that also, let's remember, the person being accused could be innocent, and we know the kind of reputational damage that can come from that. So let's always be very careful and play the balance.
All right. Let's talk about another interesting story, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Isalaiko descendants secure ruling against public viewing of gangs of Lagos. Now, just to refresh your memory, the film was released on Amazon Prime Video, and members of the Isalaiko community expressed outrage. They argued that the movie distorted their cultural heritage and portrayed their people in negative light. Now, what has the Lagos State High Court done? It yesterday ruled in favor of the Isalaiko Descendants Union in its case against Amazon Web Services and the creators of Gangs of Lagos, mandating a public apology for misrepresenting the Eyo Festival and Isalaiko community. I don't know if you ever saw Gangs of Lagos.
I did.
Okay. Did you have, first of all, you portray yourself as a Lagosian. You are, right? Did you have any problem with how the culture was presented in that film? Especially for those who never saw the film Gangs of Lagos, the Eyo masquerade came out, and that was the Eyo masquerade where they were sort of people dressed as the Eyo masquerade in a bid to take out their opponents. So it's like, oh, Eyo masquerade doesn't kill. Why would you portray us in that light? Did you did you have a problem with it, or do you think it was poetic license for them to do that?
Well, so two things. Culturally, they are right. Oh, when you say, oh, this is what the culture says, are you with me? But when you depict it in a movie and in a setting where you are, what's it called? And like, if you read, and I'm sure I read the captions before that, everything about this is artistic.
Make believe, yes.
Exactly. It's fictional.
And
it doesn't represent,
it's fictional.
and it was clearly stated, it doesn't represent any factual or real life incident. Now, so an artist looks at the culture of where they are and decide, okay, from an artistic perspective, I would do this. Whether it's right or wrong, it's a different thing. Now they've won the judgment. Public viewing, yeah, Amazon will probably send an apology. Are you with me? Public apology. So what is public apology? Public apology is you put it in the newspapers and then you place it on your screen on that film or whatever. However, at the end of the day, when you say public viewing, I don't think that movie really, are you with me, was public viewing. Public viewing, in my own opinion, is you beamed it on the cinemas and people went there to go and look at it. I watch it in my home. And there's so many movies like that where you sometimes have to pay for to watch it.
That means all of us who watch like there's certain movies that...
I mean, all the Italians will be mafia, all the Mexicans will be drug dealers, all the Irish will be gangsters. Yeah, so what happens to poetic license? I think this is taking it too far.
And the concern is about how this might stifle creativity and the ability for storytellers to tell certain stories. I don't think anybody outrightly thinks that Eyo masquerade...
Or Nigerians are aliens. 2009 movie, District 9, if you remember. The South Africans made that movie and said, you know, we're aliens. There was even an alien named Obasanjo and all of that. Nobody made a fuss.
So sometimes we take things to the extreme, all because we, in quote, want to preserve or protect culture. The only thing that's static in life is change. And culture that doesn't evolve is dead, in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, anyway, it'll be interesting to find out what filmmakers think about this. If you're a Nollywood filmmaker or you're very particular about telling stories, or you just even enjoy this story is being told, let us know what your thoughts are. Did they take it a little too far by going to court?
There's another story I want us to take from the front page of the Punch newspapers. This is Obasanjo, and I'm wondering why this is coming now. He says, a Lagos-Calabar highway project wasteful and corrupt, says Tinubu ignored protests against a 15 trillion Naira coastal highway project falls to 21 billion Naira also spent on the vice president's residence. Is one of the most vocal ex-heads of state in Nigeria, never afraid to share his opinions about governance in public. What do you make of this?
Well, to a certain extent, I do believe he's wasteful. Are you with me? Why? Because, in my opinion, there are more. This is my opinion. I'm not in government, and government has a way of looking at things differently. I think there are more critical things that could have been done with that 15.6.
I mean, even talking about roads, there are existing roads there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So existing infrastructure that could be worked upon, which some of them are being currently done, worked upon, and so that we could even first and foremost improve the logistics systems, the road networking and the road logistics systems in Nigeria. Like I was somewhere and someone said, but even the Obasanjo gave out the Lagos-Ibadan expressway, and we're still on it.
No, we've completed it.
Really? Okay. But also, let's even look at the Lekki-Ekpe corridor. We're still on it. So, I'm growing up in Lagos and growing up in Nigeria, not just Lagos, growing up in Nigeria where I knew that project execution, if you still told me it was 2 years, it was 2 years. Because the Lekki-Ekpe corridor, dual carriageway, was done in 24 months. So it's not rocket science, really.
Yeah.
But my point is, and then the other thing why I would say is wasteful. You said, oh, they've reduced the, what's it called? They moved it from 10 lanes to 6 lanes, but the contract value hasn't dropped. Really. But they tell you it's exchange. When they first did it, was 900 naira to $1, now it's 1,500 to $1.
They have to factor all those things. But I mean, work is happening. Let's hope.
One is giving employment, work is going on, and they say they will complete it in 8 years. It started in 2024, so 8 years, about 2032.
Wait and see.
Maybe we'll have a new president then who would commission it once it's completed.
Okay.
2032.
Okay. All right. There's so many other stories. I'm trying to see if there's any, which one we should take finally before we... Okay. I don't know if to go into this story. FCT sex workers lose fundamental rights to federal government.
Well, the Constitution says that commercial sex workers is not a profession in Nigeria. Until that is changed. Well, I remember that they're thinking about bringing them in as part of the rebased GDP.
Rebased economy.
Yeah, and it does make sense. You can tax them. Yeah,
they're contributing to the.
Oh, they are contributing to the economy.
Not in any small way.
I don't know how much they are contributing, but they are contributing. Their countries where
and they're Nigerian citizens. They have fundamental rights too.
And I agree with that. But the fundamental rights also stops at the point at which the Constitution tells you this is not allowed. So if they make those changes...
There's no way that we can wrap up newspaper review without talking about El-Rufai finally porting. There's a season of porting from party to party. El-Rufai has moved to SDP. There's been jubilation in some camps. We've seen a number of the Iowa boys excited about it. In fact, someone tweeted and said, oh, I'm so proud. All my contacts have SDP logo as their DP. Maurice Moyer retweeted and say, I'm proud of my own contacts because there's nothing like that. But let's get your thoughts. The Guardian says El-Rufai's hasty move roils SDP as loyalists seek rejig of MWC. El-Rufai criticized the APC leadership and has now moved to the SDP. Some people think that he's been planted in the SDP to divide the votes of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and is working hand in hand with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. But let's get your thoughts.
Congratulations to El-Rufai that he has joined another party again. All the while he's been in politics from PDP to APC, now to SDP, and he will tell you he's been instrumental in presidents winning elections. So let's see what happens in 2027. This strategic move, where does it get him?
And there also talks of him bringing other heavyweights and governors. Do you
so let's bring them now. When we start to see the potting, that popular guy potted from one network to the other. And it's all about your ambitions and where you want to be.
So isn't it too early to make all those moves? I believe chess players keep or poker players keep their cards close to them. 2027 is 2.5 years away. Why all these talks and moves about 2027?
That's what you think. The electioneering has started since the last election ended for those who play the politics. And that you've been seeing it on the pages of the newspaper, you've been seeing it in some of the activities and actions of people. So he started his electioneering.
It seems we're more passionate about the electioneering and the politics than the governance itself. And those issues that matter.
And I agree with you. Why? Because, but we're not really passionate about the electioneering.
No, the politicians are passionate about it.
Yeah, that's because that's where...
Their bread and butter.
Yeah. And we as Nigerians are not passionate about the electioneering, which is what we should be, and know what is happening, and know when you should go.
Well, we like the gist of their fights.
And that's
for entertainment value.
And so since we like the entertainment, then we'll get entertained every 4 years.
Deal with the consequences.
Exactly. No, that's why we'll get entertained every 4 years.
I wish we could take the Punch newspaper because there's some headlines I'm seeing here, but unfortunately we don't have time. But let me just run through them. PDP crisis, Wike camps kick as the Kimi panel recommends Ayaun's expulsion. Ondo killing survivors recount ordeals. This Ondo thing is very scary. I heard that to pledges tight security. IPU can summon Akpabio says spokesman. This is, of course, in the Natasha case. Lagos-Calabar Highway project, wasteful, corrupt, Obasanjo says. Says Tinubu ignored protest against 15 trillion naira coastal highway project and falls 21 billion naira spent on vice president's residence. And then we have Tinubu overrules Akonde panel, backs Obasa to remain speaker. I wish we'd thought.
And I don't, you know what, but that's what the Akonde panel said, that he should come back as speaker.
No. So the plan was, according to the report, he was temporary. So,
did you see this report?
Well, you saw the reports.
No, I did not.
I didn't see the report.
But the only thing that is constant in that report, and which the president has said now, is that Obasa should return.
Well, part of what we're hearing. Well,
the rumors. And the rumors have been completely done now.
Even the newspapers report that, you know, the report from the panel was that it was supposed to be temporary, that he's supposed to have stepped down so that someone from Lagos West will be elected into
our source.
Our source.
Okay.
And journalist never reveals her.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And the leader of the party has taken a position. Right. And his position is clear. Obasa returns, supportive.
We have to go now. We're running out of time.
You also take that position for River State and just let everybody shit their swords.
Since we have nothing called separation of powers, executive will determine what's happening in legislature and vice versa.
Well,
Nigerian politics.
I'm not sure about that.
If you say you understand Nigerian politics, it is well. Thank you so much for joining us, Wadi Akimi. And now I'm heading to social media to see what Nigerians are saying on X. Is Wike versus Fubara versus River State? It is interesting. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. This time we're looking at what Nigerians are saying about the drama happening in Rivers State. So, Siminalayi Fubara versus Nyesom Wike versus River State people, with Martins Amewule and the 27 lawmakers all embroiled in this drama. And it's quite exhausting. The question is, in this whole algebra, where are the people of River State? How have they been prioritized? Yesterday, Governor Nyesom Fubara appeared at the Assembly complex in an attempt to represent the budget like he's been asked to, and he couldn't gain access into the Assembly complex. The arguments we've seen in support of that would be the fact that, one, he did not duly notify them, even though the governor says that he did with a letter he personally signed. Remember that a few days ago, there was another letter signed by the secretary to the state government, and after that, too much wahala. Why is it the secretary to the state government that's signing this? Why can't it be the governor himself? Governor has now signed it. It's still a problem again, saying that after all, he demolished Assembly complex. Why is he appearing in their house? On the other hand, former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, in Abuja, is granting media parley and talking about what's happening in Rivers State, saying that if the governor is impeached, heaven will not fall, this will not, the world will not come to an end, nothing will happen. Who are these militants? So it just feels like at the end of the day, the priority of Rivers people have not been considered. The interests of all the parties are what is coming to play. We're seeing the ego. It's like an ego clash. This one is saying, hey, you did me before, I'm going to do you back. Because that's what it seems. And we're really exhausted. We're tired. We want to see the progress, the governance of Rivers State being prioritized. Nigerians, of course, do not hold back when it comes to conversations like this. Some will speak for, some will speak against, but let's head to X to see what they're saying. I was starting off with the tweet of the governor himself, Governor Nyesom Fubara. This is after he has been denied access into the Rivers Assembly. He says, though I was denied access, I will continue to look forward to a better River State where the interest of the people is considered paramount. This is what the governor says. Some people are saying that this one is medicine after death. Why did he not say this earlier before the Supreme Court gave their judgment? Why did he not say this before he, quote unquote, obtained the certified true copy? These are some of the basketballs that we're seeing regarding the governor's tweet and regarding his response. But let's move away from him to Aisha Yesufu. And she says, who does Wike think he is? These titles get into their heads. If the only power you have is through an office, then you really have nothing. Away from her, Gordons has also tweeted about this, and Gordons Sylvester Bala says, EFCC patiently waited for 18 years to probe Governor Peter Odili as Odili declared his supporters for Fubara against Wike. River State politics is unpredictable. I think that's when you say, those in Lagos or in Nigeria will say, ayele. That's really what we are seeing in River State. It's drama upon drama. Our next tweet is from Maurice Monye, who says, Fubara really dealt with Wike. I get his pain. I think BAT should ban these media chats. And that's sort of the arguments people are saying. Why is the River State former governor granting a media parley? Why is he speaking to the affairs of River State? He had his 8 years. Why is he coming down to talk about it? And quite frankly, I can understand what Maurice says when he says that Fubara dealt with Wike, because Fubara was the person who was brought in by Governor Nyesom Wike. One of our callers did talk about this earlier, that people of River State felt like this is the person you pushed, you championed for. We didn't want that, but now we've accepted him. You can't then be appropriating and reprobating, telling us, okay, accept him, and then after you are changing your mind. No, it doesn't work like that. And I think the resistance that Nyesom Wike has gotten from Fubara, I don't think that he saw it. It's really been like, aura for aura, like they say on social media. Away from Maurice's tweet, let's look at Daniel Regar's tweet. Okay, let's take Ugo Felix. Ugo Felix says, Tinubu is not even hiding his bias in his position about River State crisis. The audacity to tell Rivers elders to advise a sitting governor doing his job to obey the rule of law instead of Wike to leave Fubara alone is baffling. This is a very big indictment. Again, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was speaking about it, people have been asking, why did he not speak about Nyesom Wike's involvement? Why has he not called Nyesom Wike? Why does he have to say that the governor, who, by the way, has always said that he's a law-abiding citizen and he would abide by the rules of the Supreme Court or whatever the judgment is of the Supreme Court? So why do you need to remind him to obey the judgment of the Supreme Court? Whereas, there's another party involved, a party that, many are not quite sure which party he's in. Is he APC or is he PDP? See what I did there? Anyway, away from Patriotic Guy, we have a next tweet. And our next tweet is Daniel Regar. He says, Fubara needs to start making some power moves to put these lawmakers in place. The height of disrespect he's getting as a sitting governor is embarrassing. Take action. Which action does he want to take? Where does he want to start the action from? Is it not too late? When they say, it's too late to apologize. I think that's actually what's happening here. Seems to have been boxed in a corner, and I don't know what the way out is for him. Wike and Fubara fight shouldn't be our discussion. These are men who suppress the votes and opinions of voters, who eagerly wanted the new Nigeria. Let them turn the government house to WWE arena. It's still not our case. Chibueze Nzeribe is one that said it. It's not me. I don't know how he has evidence for this one. Chibueze Nzeribe, come and share with us what you know. Our final tweet is some measure of bass that I haven't seen in a while. And Adewale says, Fubara is the Zelensky of Nigeria. Let that sink in. When you negotiate, do so from a place of strength. Weakness is a helpless, hopeless, and shameful place to be. Benga, what do you have to say about this?
You saved the best for the last. The Zelensky of Nigeria is a fitting description of what is happening in River State. And when you negotiate, and that's what, you remember the interview we had with Honorable Odu this morning, and he said, he gave his litany of sins, and now the tables have turned, he's feeling the heat. The lessons here is always stay on the straight and narrow path and do what is best. Stay on the path of the law. So when things change, people won't come back and say, you did this and you did that. But in all of this, like I've always said, it's where's the people factor? And that's where Maurice Moye came in and said, you know, let everybody do their job. The job of the FCT minister is Minister of FCT. Yeah, we've had successor, predecessor clashes in the past. You feel bad about it, but you move on. You have a mandate. Can you please face your work in the FCT? And who are you? Are they also supposed to speak on national issues?
Let's be clear that both of them have their faults.
Oh, yes, they definitely
Sim's hand is not totally clean. Governor Nyesom Wike's hand is not totally clean. All the lawmakers, all of them, at the end of the day, they have played Rivers politics without prioritizing the people of Rivers State. So they all have their role to play in all of this. So instead of them to say, Ojoro cancel Ojoro, I've messed up, you've messed up, let's come to a table and find a way to move governance in Rivers State forward and leave politics aside. It's just a shame at the end of the day.
That's a shame, and it doesn't seem to have any end in sight, which is quite unfortunate.
Anyway.
Well, every day, new drama. Let's see what's
going to happen tomorrow. The governor has said that he's ready to re-present the budget again at a later date. So we're hoping that the Martin Amerule-led assembly will communicate to the governor as to when they want him to appear. They had given him 48 hours before. I don't know what
I don't want to speculate or preempt the Rivers State government, but if somebody is facing so much heat outside the assembly, imagine what will happen when those commissioners come for screening. What will happen when he comes to present the budget? They would make life so miserable.
I see.
But hopefully, in the interest of the people of Rivers State, that won't be the case.
Typically, the different arms of government, the executive and the legislature, there's reason for checks and balances, right? They're not to be too chummy, and they're not to be too much of enemies. But again, what we see is a very, very far cry from what it should be, because in Nigeria, we like the extremities. So it's either the executive is palling with the House of Assembly, or we're seeing that they are complete enemies. And either extreme does not favor the people of Nigeria.
Exactly. The height of chumminess was what we witnessed last year on your mandate in the National Assembly. I mean, that's, wow, so quite a low.
Anywho, this is all that we have to share with you today on what Nigerians are saying. Remember that we do this every other day, where we're bringing tweets regarding some of the biggest stories. So feel free to let us know your thoughts and contribute on any of the conversations we having. Tweet at News Central TV. This is where we close the curtain on today's show. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, bright and early. Remember to share the good news. News Central is on Go TV 23, DSTV 422, and we stream live on YouTube and X. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Olive MOD.
And Benga Bora, looking up to you. Goodbye.